Nancy Guthrie may be number 26. 25 unmarked graves. That is the number of bodies already pulled from a stretch of desert in Mexico. 25 people buried in a location called Mariposa, which means butterfly in English, which feels like the cruelest possible word for what is buried there. Today, a group of Mexican mothers received a specific, detailed tip about Nancy Guthrie. Not vague, not a guess. Specific enough that they organized a search. Armed security came. State officials backed them. They walked into a killing field that has already given up 25 bodies looking for an 84-year-old woman from Arizona. They did not find her, not yet, but they are going back in the morning. In the Pima County Sheriff's Department, the people whose job it is to find Nancy Guthrie said they have not been contacted by Mexican authorities. 131 days, that is how long Nancy has been missing. And it took a group of Mexican mothers to do what American investigators apparently never thought to do: search 60 miles south of her home. If you're new to the Crime Journal, subscribe right now and turn on notifications, because this development changes everything about where this case goes next. Before we talk about the tip, you need to understand who these people are. Ramona Guadalupe Ayala Ortiz leads an organization called Buscando Corazones Nogales, searching for hearts. But here's what that name really means. It means you have lost someone. It means you know what it feels like to not know. It means you have looked into the faces of people carrying the weight of missing loved ones and decided that waiting is not an acceptable response to that grief. These are mothers, daughters, sisters, women who have spent years walking into the kind of places that break people. Places that most people in the world will never see. Places that most investigators avoid. Places that have earned their reputation for violence and death. They have found 25 bodies in the Mariposa area since they began this work. 25. Think about that for a moment. Not 20, not 10. 25 people. 25 human beings who someone made a conscious decision to carry into the desert. 25 moments where someone thought, this is where I will leave them. This is where they will disappear. 25 times they were wrong. Because Ramona Guadalupe Ayala Ortiz and her volunteers came with shovels and determination and the physical memory of having found 24 others before. Think about standing over 25 bodies. Think about calling 25 families with news that is terrible, but at least, finally, it is news. Think about what it takes to keep doing that, to keep going back, to keep searching in a place where you know what you might find. They do not have government funding. They do not have federal resources. They do not have air-conditioned vehicles or forensic labs or secure evidence lockers. They have what they can carry: GPS coordinates, shovels, the physical strength to use them, the emotional strength that you only develop by doing something this hard repeatedly. They work in heat that Americans drive through with the air conditioning on. They work in the dark. They work when governments are watching and when governments have completely forgotten they exist. And on day 131 of Nancy Guthrie's disappearance, someone sent them a message. The message was not a vague call from someone with a hunch. This is critical to understand. When you receive 50 zero tips in a high-profile investigation, almost all of them fall into predictable categories. People genuinely trying to help, but ultimately describing something that happened in a different state, a different year, a different case entirely. Or people seeking attention, wanting to be part of a story they are watching from a distance, wanting to feel like they matter. The kind of tip that produces noise, lots but no signal. This tip was signal. The tip contained specifics, not generalities, not geographic approximations, specific details about a specific location, details about specific terrain features, the kind of knowledge that only comes from direct experience or from direct conversation with someone who has direct experience. Specific enough that Buscando Corazones Nogales, a group that has found 25 bodies and intimately understands the difference between a tip worth investigating and noise, did not hesitate. They did not pause. They contacted the Sonora State Commission for Missing Persons immediately. They coordinated with municipal officials. They organized armed security. Because what they were about to do was walk into one of the most dangerous areas in that region. And they went. But here is the question that should be sitting with you, weighing on you. Why did this tip come to them? Not to the FBI. Not to the Pima County Sheriff's Department. Not to any official American law enforcement agency. But to a group of Mexican mothers. An anonymous source. Someone who knows something about what happened to Nancy Guthrie on February 1st. Someone who made a conscious, deliberate choice not to call the FBI, not to claim the $1.2 million reward, not to go through any official channel. Instead, they called across the border. Why? Maybe because they do not trust American authorities. Maybe they have seen how this investigation has been run and reached a simple conclusion. The truth does not live in official channels. The answer is not going to come from law enforcement that has failed for 131 days. Maybe they sent this tip to Mexico because they know that is where Nancy is. Maybe they understand something about the geography of this crime that American investigators have not grasped. Or maybe, this is worth sitting with, maybe they are afraid of someone north of the border. Maybe calling American law enforcement would expose them to retaliation. Maybe they are afraid of someone in this investigation's orbit. Maybe reaching across the border felt like the only way to tell the truth without putting themselves in direct danger. Think about what kind of person would need to fear that. Think about the kind of knowledge that would inspire that level of fear. The tip said Nancy Guthrie is buried in the Mariposa area. The search was organized within hours. Now I need you to understand something about what 25 unmarked graves in one location really means operationally. This is not a place where people occasionally dispose of bodies. This is not a random desert spot that multiple criminal organizations happen to use by coincidence. This is a specific identified piece of ground that specific people have chosen, repeatedly, across multiple occasions, for a deliberate purpose. Dr. Tracy Sargent is a forensic criminologist and victimologist who worked on the Natalie Holloway case. When she heard about Mariposa, she said something that every serious investigator understands. Criminals do not bury bodies in a location once and never return. They go back, they return because it worked. Because the desert held the first secret. Because no one found the first body, so they brought a second, then a third, then more. They kept returning because that ground, that specific ground, proved itself reliable. It held what they wanted it to hold. It kept what they wanted kept. 25 times. Think about what that means. Think about 25 different criminal decisions across time. Think about 25 different moments where someone or multiple someones decided that Mariposa was where their secret would go. Think about 25 families who may finally have answers. That ground was not picked at random. That ground was chosen with knowledge. That ground had a reputation among a specific network of people who knew what it could do. Which means this: if Nancy Guthrie is buried in Mariposa, then someone who sent that tip knows about that network, knows about that ground, knows about the kind of people who use it for the kind of purpose it has been used for. Someone connected in some way to the machinery that makes people disappear. And that person just decided to talk. On day 131, when the silence has lasted exactly long enough for the immediate fear to fade, when staying quiet has become harder than speaking, when watching an American investigation stall has become unbearable, when a group of mothers organizing a search across the border in a country that is not theirs, for a woman they have never met, becomes the moment you finally break. That is the psychology of a tip specific enough to move governments. That is someone for whom the secret has become heavier than the fear. Now here is where this becomes critical. The border crossing at Nogales is 1 hour from Nancy's home, about 60 miles. Brian Enton, News Nation's senior correspondent, the reporter who has been closer to this case than any other journalist in the country, crossed that border one afternoon to see how easy it was. He asked questions, he looked around, he crossed back, he filed his evening broadcast. The crossing is, in his word, a snap. You do not show a document heading south. You walk across. There are no X-ray scanners on vehicles heading south. People drive across without being checked. The barrier between Nancy's home and Mariposa is 1 hour by car and virtually no government oversight. The border proximity has been known since day one. Multiple analysts have discussed it publicly. The ease of crossing has been documented extensively. A killing field that has already produced 25 bodies sits literally 1 hour from Nancy's house. And in 131 days, the Pima County Sheriff's Department never formally engaged with what is on the other side of that border, never sent a representative, never officially coordinated with Mexican authorities, never treated the area south of the line as a serious lead, until Mexican mothers did it for them. When it finally became undeniable, when armed Mexican officials were on the ground and the Sonora State Commission was backing a search, the response from Pima County Sheriff's Department was this, their exact statement posted publicly. We are aware of reports regarding an anonymous tip related to the Nancy Guthrie investigation. At this time, we have not been contacted by Mexican authorities. Read that again. We have not been contacted. Not. We have reached out to our counterparts in Sonora. Not. We are sending a representative to assist the search. Not. We are grateful for the work these volunteer organizations are doing. We have not been contacted. On day 131, with a killing field 60 miles from Nancy's home, with Mexican government officials and volunteers actively searching. The response from the people whose job it is to find Nancy Guthrie is that they have not been called. This is the pattern of this investigation since day one. Every genuine development has come from outside the official structure. The DNA work confirmed by journalist sources, not announced officially. The enhanced doorbell images held by the FBI but never released publicly. The sealed 911 call, the vehicle data, none of it surfaced through official transparency. Now this, a Mexican mothers group, a specific tip, armed security, state commission backing, a killing field that American investigators apparently never thought to search. All of it happening outside the framework that Sheriff Nanos controls. At day 131, something shifts in a case like this. The immediate fear of the person who did this may be fading. The panic of the first weeks is gone. The certainty that they got away with it is settling in. They are starting to believe it, starting to think the silence will hold forever. But something else is happening at 131 days. Associates who stayed quiet because they were afraid may be calculating differently. Someone whispered to someone who told someone else. Someone's guilt became a burden they shared over a beer. Someone's secret leaked into the world in a moment of weakness. Tips change at 131 days. The silence has a different texture now, and one specific, detailed, actionable tip found its way to a group of mothers in Nogales who understood exactly what to do with it. Tomorrow morning, Buscando Corazones Nogales will return to the Mariposa area. They will arrive before the sun is fully up, before the desert has lost the cold it holds at night, before the day has had a chance to become ordinary. They will bring their tools, their maps, the specific information from the tip that sent them there in the first place. They have found 25 before. They know what they are looking for. They know what the desert looks like when it is hiding something. They have been to this ground. They have done this work. They are not being paid. They are not required. No American official asked them to go. No one from Pima County is flying down to assist. The people whose job it is to find Nancy Guthrie are waiting to be contacted. The mothers are not waiting. They are going back in the morning. 131 days ago, Nancy Guthrie's family stood in front of cameras and begged for her return. 131 days of press conferences, sealed evidence, unreleased images, a sheriff who gave the FBI 4 days of nothing while a plane sat ready on a runway. And today, the most significant movement in this case came from a group of women in Mexico who received a tip, made some calls, loaded their equipment, and walked into a desert that has already absorbed 25 bodies. The Pima County Sheriff posted on social media that he had not been contacted. But here is what matters. The tip was specific. The search is ongoing. The ground has not given up its secret yet. But the ground gave up 25 before this. It will give up what it holds. Nancy Guthrie is 84 years old. She went to church every Sunday. She played golf. She baked for her grandchildren. She said she was content. She said she was at peace. And a group of women who never met her are walking into a Mexican desert to find out if she is buried there. Nobody asked them to go. Nobody paid them. The FBI did not send a request. The Pima County Sheriff did not reach out. Savannah did not know their names 2 days ago. They just went because someone sent a tip with details, and they are the people who go when details matter. That is where this case is on day 131. If you have any information about what happened to Nancy Guthrie, especially any information that points south of the border, call the FBI immediately at 1-800-CALL-FBI. You can also contact the Pima County Sheriff's Department at 520-351-4900. The reward is $1.2 million. It is completely anonymous, no name required. Because somewhere tonight, a group of mothers is preparing to search a desert at sunrise. And somewhere in that desert, Nancy Guthrie may finally be found. Nancy Guthrie deserves to come home. Her family deserves answers. Savannah deserves to know what happened to her mother. The families of those 25 bodies deserve recognition that their loved ones mattered. And the person who knows, the person who is listening to every development in this case, needs to understand something. The silence is breaking. The investigation is spreading beyond the border. The pressure is mounting. Every day that passes, every search that happens, every new development, the weight of carrying this secret gets heavier. You can end it. One phone call, completely anonymous, 1-800-CALL-FBI. Or you can watch Mexican mothers find your secret in the desert. The choice is yours. Buscando Corazones Nogales is going back in the morning. Subscribe right now. Turn on every notification. Because when they find her, and they will find her, you need to be here. Nancy Guthrie is coming home.